sometimes hear the saying, "Life begins at 40, which is also the title of a 1932 book by Walter B. Pitkin. Indeed, many people believe that our experiences before that age are merely learning and preparation for the most exciting part of the journey. I was approaching my 40th birthday when something strange started on what began as an ordinary day at work but turned into one of the most significant moments in my life. Deep inside, I suddenly repeatedly heard the word, truth. It started like a voice I could not hear with my ears, but I could feel it with my heart. Deep there, it went on, truth, truth, truth. So, I calmly leaned back in my chair and started thinking. I did not expect how much the thoughts this triggered would completely change my vision of life and my future decisions. When the thinking started, a question came to my mind, and I wondered, why do people lie? Then, this answer instantly followed. We lie because of fear. On this strange day, with the persistence of the word, truth, inside me, the word, fear, was also suddenly magnified in my mind. And, as it grew, I realized something through it. Indeed, I could clearly distinguish 3 types of fear. The first one was the fear of losing what we have. Sometimes, we can go through many struggles to get where we are and have what we have. Who hasn't heard the saying that life is a battle? Getting what we have can even take us our whole lifetime. So, it is easy to comprehend how a person can be troubled if threatened to lose something they have worked so hard to achieve. Fear can fill the heart when faced with the threat of losing something obtained through extraordinary effort, be it visible wealth like personal belongings or invisible assets like relationships, jobs, or social status. If lying becomes an option to keep what we don't want to lose, we might hastily resort to it or use it as a last recourse. However, regardless of how quickly we choose this path or the pressure driving us, a lie will always remain what it is. Another one I distinguished was about what we haven't got yet but heartfully desire. It was the fear of not getting what we want, and like the first one, it can also be about visible possessions or intangible elements. We may wish to have something so much that not having it may make us feel worried, insecure, or incomplete. Again, if a lie is a solution to fulfill our desire, we may irresistibly run to it. The last type of fear that came to my thoughts on this unexpected day was directly linked to our need for a social life. As human beings, we need to interact with others. To do so, we need to be accepted by them. Therefore, we fear not being welcomed, leading us to worry about what other people will think of us. So, this third one was the fear of rejection. If believing that others' opinions about us may lead them to reject us, we may fall into lies to shine in their eyes and be accepted, appreciated, and loved. Rejection can convey devastating effects and undermine self-esteem, while everyone needs acceptance, appreciation, and love. After this classification, the thinking kept going, and what came next was the mechanism of fear. I understood that, before lying to anyone else, the liar starts by lying to themselves first. In other words, the liar is the first victim of their lie. Indeed, a lie begins with the awareness of a truth or piece of evidence that the liar finds inconvenient or undesirable. They start by convincing themselves that this truth is false because it doesn't align with their wish. This denial creates an internal conflict between two parts within themselves, their soul fighting against their conscience. They construct the lie when the part of them that wants to lie takes control, thinking it is winning against the conscience. They think about it, imagine it, elaborate it, and rehearse it. Thanks to the power of the thoughts, they create different versions in the mind, testing each scenario mentally. Once they find one that seems plausible, they become the first person to absorb it. They let it sink deep into themselves and lie to their inner self. And once the liar has convinced themselves enough that the version they picked is the truth, once filled with it, they feel excited about what seems to be a solution to what they feared, and then the lie effortlessly spreads around them in their words, their attitude, or their actions. Lies can even be so sneaky, and this mechanism can be so automatic and fast that they wouldn't realize they are not being genuine and are being untrue to themselves first. Lies are disrespectful and can be a form of conscious or unconscious insult. But before the insult is directed to someone else, the lie constitutes a self-insult and a disrespect of the liar by themselves. After lying, the liar feels relieved of not losing what they did not want to lose or is satisfied with their success in getting what they wanted to have. This feeling can bring some enthusiasm, and the liar can get so dazzled by the excitement that they wouldn't realize that the lie implies a trade-off in which they pay a substantial price, giving away the piece of their soul with their conscience for a fleeting excitement. As time passes, the excitement quickly fades off, thanks to habits. Indeed, truth derives from the alignment of the soul with the conscience, and it is where the peace of the soul is found. When we are not at peace with our conscience, even if we may have everything the lies helped us to obtain or not to lose, we risk the fact that, someday, when we don't expect it, our conscience reminds us of what it instructed us to do or not to do, but we chose not to listen. The conscience can be fought and pushed back, but it always comes to the fore, no matter how long it takes. When it comes to the fore and we finally listen, we are subject to remorse, which is a terrible experience for the soul. The lies take away the peace of the soul, and lying involves too much effort for something that ultimately ruins our essence. We are not just the body, but the body is like a tool the soul uses to be able to manifest. Our souls put our bodies into motion to interact with the visible realm. The body's actions are not commanded by the brain but are ordered by something more profound and subtle that ignites the chemistry in the body. And once fired up, the body, this impressive machine, starts doing its work. This deeper something that uses the body to manifest comprises what remains of us when the body no longer responds, the soul. So, the body is like a Swiss Army knife to the soul. It is a polyvalent tool with many features that cannot operate independently. While our souls command our body's actions via our brains, the conscience speaks to the soul, telling it about what is in the interest of our most authentic peace. Therefore, when we choose not to listen to that inner voice of the conscience because of the fear of losing, not getting, or being rejected, we fail to preserve the peace of our soul. And, since the soul is eternal, lying puts our everlasting essence in danger of ceaseless remorse for temporary matters that will stay in this realm when the inevitable departure occurs. In addition, once a lie spreads, the liar must constantly monitor it, pretending not to see the truth they deliberately chose to hide while adorning the lie with makeup, layers to keep it from being discovered. This covered-up lie can appear attractive despite its hidden spitefulness, whereas the undisguised truth can be unsettling. Indeed, the liar must remain careful after lying so the lie is not revealed or noticed. They get trapped to ensure they constantly remember all the details about the lie they produced without providing a different version of the same story. They must ensure that no small detail exposes what they have so carefully covered up. That's too much work, while, with the truth, there is no need for all this. With a liar can be subject to providing many different versions of a fact if he forgets the slightest detail. But with the truth, there is only one version. There is no need to suffer the struggle of fabricating a lie, no need to hustle with remembering every detail of something that was made up, and no risk of providing a conflicting version, at least typically. How peaceful for both the conscience and the soul. This reminded me of John chapter 8 verse 32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But what is knowing the truth about? Why don't the scriptures say, "You will hear, discover the truth," instead? Knowing the truth is profound and extends beyond just finding it. Knowing the truth is about having a relationship with the truth, connecting with it, and living in harmony with it. From that life intertwined with the truth comes the freedom of the soul, a soul free from the burden of the lie. The soul is eternal, and the body is a tool for the soul to manifest. When the soul wants to express something, the signal for this expression is sent out. The brain is not the source of this signal. If we compare the brain to a processor in a computer, for example, the processor cannot operate without the electricity that is input. This electricity is energy converted and transported through a network from nature to the computer. Through the chemistry and energy within the body, the brain receives instructions from a higher authority, and an output follows as a body movement or a voice, for example. And it is intriguing how we can hear our voice inside when thinking, even when we're not speaking. Maybe inner speech could confirm this authority. Conversely, when our body and senses capture an input, it transits through the brain and gets to the soul, leaving an imprint, a memory deriving from a feeling or an emotion. So, the soul sends an outgoing signal that converts into noticeable actions in our realm through the body, and noticeable actions sensed by the body are converted into imprints in the soul. Because the soul is immortal and lying is in the interest of the liar, at the expense of the people they lied to, due to the fear of losing or not getting things in their current existence. I am afraid that, after death, when the liar no longer has access to the body and what they lied for, but is only left with the imprint of the consequences of their actions, their soul in its eternal life could cry, "My God, what did I do?" I also sometimes envision the soul going away from the body after death, like an ascending journey in space, and when doing so, we can perceive how, the higher you elevate, the smaller what seemed big becomes. The higher the soul ascends for its communion with God, the more fragile and vulnerable what seemed big and powerful becomes. Therefore, I comprehended that attachment gets us closer to things, magnifies them, and makes them look impressive and essential. Instead, detachment elevates us from them and, with the distance incurred, makes them look smaller and vulnerable. After all this thinking on this extraordinary day, I began paying more attention to my soul, the eternal part of me that would live forever and one day leave my body here in this realm with what I fought to have while carrying its good and bad memories, its joys and sorrows, the memories of its lies and righteousness. I began focusing on trying my best to preserve the peace of my soul and making this desire my priority. Therefore, with all these thoughts, I made myself, so my soul, a promise to dedicate the remainder of my lifetime to truthfulness to myself and not act on fear anymore.